Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to TrepTalks. This is a show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Jocelyn Sheppard to the show. Jocelyn is the founder of Appalachian Botanical, and they create exceptional aromatherapy, body care, and beard care products. And today I'm going to ask Jocelyn a few questions about her entrepreneur journey and some of the strategies and tactics that she has used to start and grow her business. Now, before we dive into this interview, if you enjoy this kind of content, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And for more content like this, please visit our website, treptalks.com. And with that, Jocelyn, welcome. And thank you so much again for joining me today at Trep Talks. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
So very interested about your business and your entrepreneurial story. So maybe we can start with a little bit about yourself. Can you share a little bit about when you started this business? What were you doing before? How did you kind of get into the entrepreneurial path, and what really motivated you to start a business?
Well, in retrospect, Sushant, I think I fell into it and fell into entrepreneurship. I was a consultant for about 20 years before starting the company in late 2018. And in fact, that's how I got introduced to Lavender and what became the company, by working on a federally funded project to prove lavender would grow well on reclaimed coal mine land. So I co-wrote the grant, I wrote the feasibility study, became involved that way, stayed on the team when the project got funded. And then later, a year and a half later, project was finished, we all broke up. And I realized, or I said to myself, there's got to be a way to start a company around this, to grow lavender, distill it, make great products, and create opportunity in the local community where we were in southern West Virginia.
Awesome. But the land was not like, once the project was completed, did you still have access to the land, or where were you planning to grow lavender?
Good question. I went back to the land company who had given us permission to operate the project on their land and told them about my idea for a company. And they found me another location on another piece of land they owned about 20 minutes away. Turned out to be a really great fit for getting the actual planting and growing of lavender started in the spring of 2019.
And so your business, is it kind of specifically centered around lavender and lavender-based products, or that was kind of the start and you have diversified from there?
It's the second, yes. If you imagine the bullseye, the initial opportunity was to prove we could grow lavender and distill it, make great products. And then we realized it's not enough simply to distill and sell lavender essential oil. That market is too saturated. There's too much well-established competition. So moving out from that center, we included hydrosols, the flower water byproduct of steam distillation. We then went into types of hydrosol that did not include lavender, so we were branching out there. We moved into body cream, body oil, and some other specialty products before, in I think 2021, moving into beard care products. And as I hasten to tell the guys who look at our products, I go, no lavender, don't worry about that. So we have a nice range of about 8 beard and scalp care products. And most recently this spring, we launched our line of Due South body care personal grooming products for cleansing, shaving, anti-chafe, etc. So we've really come a long way since starting out with lavender.
And so your profession before starting this, so sorry if I missed it, did you say, were you a chemist, or how how did you get into like this kind of
I'm
extracting the...
not even close. That's a great question. My education includes a PhD in literature and a library science degree and 20 years of teaching and consulting. I'm the storyteller in chief. And I put together the vision for what the company could be and helped guide it along along the way these past 5+ years. I am fortunate to have a full-time chief technical officer who is indeed an industry-trained chemist. And she is the glue that holds the operations together. She oversaw the growing of the lavender, the distillation. She formulates all our products and oversees their manufacture, filling, packing, and shipping. She's amazing.
Awesome. And what kind of motivated you to get into an entrepreneurial venture business? Well, like, did you just wanted to try something very different? Were you looking to develop extra income? Were you looking to,
Mm.
create a product? What kind of motivated you to go into this starting a business path?
I think what motivated me, Sushant, was I did not want to see the opportunity lost once that federally funded grant was
Mm.
over and the project was finished. We had proven that something could be done. I can't claim it's unique, but it is very rare, where we can take coal mine land that's no longer useful. We can employ local people, many of whom do not possess high school diplomas, and we can grow a botanical crop that's valuable as part of value-added products, and do it in a way that lets people who, now let's just say they've struggled sometimes with family and life and securing employment in their home community. So really, just very literally, I wanted an opportunity to create a business that would hire people that would otherwise have trouble getting hired, and who could stay in their home community and do this work and be proud of it and be part of something really, really cool and really different.
I mean,
So I think
definitely a
I was
very,
motivated by the human aspect of this more so than perhaps the environmental reclamation piece of it. We could really make a difference in a community that was very open to us, very welcoming. And so that part has worked out very well.
I mean, it definitely sounds like a win-win from, even though you're saying it's not, your motivation was not necessarily environmental reclamation, but definitely
Mhm.
seems like, you're utilizing a land that would otherwise probably would not have other users. And number two, are these
Mhm.
people that you're employing, are they kind of like the people who have been laid off or are no longer working in the coal industry, or what's the background there?
Great question. The answer is yes, all of the above. Um, the people we've employed, some of them have worked in a coal mine or in companies that supported coal mining operations, or they worked in the energy industry more broadly, which has seen a downturn in the region. We have people who have struggled to overcome domestic abuse, poverty, lack of a good education. Perhaps they've been incarcerated or have had issues with illegal substances. So it runs the gamut. As far as the win-win that you mentioned a moment ago, it's actually a win-win-win. And I think your listeners might be interested in a little bit more in depth about the business model, because there are actually three legs to the stool. We have an agricultural lease with the land company, and it's a 15-year lease, which was
Hmm.
our way of saying, we're here to put down some roots, pun intended, and we don't want to go away anytime soon. We pay the land company nominal rent and some royalties on the back end. Then we have an opportunity to take this lavender, put it into value-added products, and sell it commercially so we can make our money. And there's one more player in all of this, which is the coal mining company that has the mining permit on the same land where we are doing our lavender. Because that coal mining company has an obligation for reclamation once it's finished mining,
Hmm.
and it has to self-bond in order to make sure it completes its requirements. I'll fast forward through the details, but because they accommodated us growing lavender, they got their bond release in probably a quarter of the time they would have if they had stuck with their original plan, which was to plant trees.
I
Because
mean,
isn't that amazing that instead of 10, 15, 20 years, within 3 years of us planting lavender, they were able to file with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection to say, we have completed our phase 3 obligation. Please give us some of our money back. Did.
I mean, it's a very interesting discussion. So, I mean, I'm finding it really interesting. Like, so once a coal company has mined this, and to me, what it seems like, or what it sounds like, this land cannot be used for farming, agriculture, and now you are kind of using it in a certain way to grow lavender. Is it kind of bringing back some of the vitality of the land so that it can be used in a more normal way in the future? Or is this land kind of barren land to begin with, and you're just kind of making use of it?
Well, I don't know if you can see the picture behind me, but that's the lavender fields on what used to be a strip mine. So it's actually quite verdant and beautiful up there. You wouldn't know that this was a mining operation. There really, because of the topography, because of the location, there really isn't anything that necessarily could be built there. And actually, the mining company is still operating certain sections of the site. So that's another reason why it would be difficult for the land company to find someone else to sell the land to, rent the land to do something with it now that the mining's done in this particular part of the location.
Very interesting. So when you started out, of course, you got this insight or inspiration of making use of what has already been done. Did you start off small? What kind of investment go into your business? Did you kind of partner with people, or did you say, let me just start something and then we'll see how it goes?
Somewhere in between, I would say. There was a little bit of leaping into it, and we bit off a lot in that first year of growing. But on the other hand, we didn't go crazy with the amount of acreage or the size of the crew or so on. I have an investor, an angel investor, who has helped make sure that the company keeps going while we were in the early stages focused on growing the lavender. And then later, when we had our first real harvest in the summer of 2020, and could then start making and selling product. And that's been very important to have that support and guidance, and not just the financial piece of it, but to have somebody to work with in that fashion. And that was all the more important, Sushant. And I know probably everybody you talk to who launched in the summer of 2020, launched sales, has a lot of the same story to tell: disrupted supply chain, inability to travel to trade shows, virtual impossibility, making calls on retailers or others that we knew if they knew about our products, they would want to buy them and carry them in their stores. So we started a little bit behind the 8 ball with the sales and marketing in 2020.
So it sounds like you kind of start B2C model, and now how would you describe your business model right now?
I'd say a great majority is B2B.
Okay.
And that's not something we fully understood or appreciated when we got started. I'm skipping ahead to the lessons learned question on your list, but one of the lessons we learned was it was extremely expensive and often frustrating to advertise via Google, Facebook, Instagram, et cetera. In order, the customer acquisition cost was quite high. So, and I was working with people who were very good in many ways, but did not have the sales and marketing background that would have probably, in retrospect, been really helpful. I know I did not. And again, sort of in that category of here are things we learned, there are a lot of people out there, you will be totally shocked, I'm sure to know, who will blow a lot of smoke when they say, oh, we can come in and we can make sales for you, and we can get you a distributor, and we can do all this. Just simply pay us this very expensive retainer every month and we'll make it happen. So to my credit, I figured out pretty quickly that that was not the case, and it wasn't the right match. It wasn't a good fit for that. So we've been learning as we've gone along, and our model has evolved as e-commerce has evolved over these past few years. So right now we are on like 4 retailer wholesaler platforms. We're doing quite well on Faire. We're getting traction on Bulletin. We recently got accepted onto the Pod Foods online distribution platform. And we're also listed with Range Me, which is where the buyers for the very large chains or medium to large chains go to discover new brands. And so we're putting a lot of effort into getting ourselves onto those platforms and keeping those maintained and attracting business. As a result, we're shipping retail orders all over the country. And so it's working well for us. We still have our Shopify site for our B2C customers, and I need to do the shout out to AppalachianBotanical.com. So people can go and shop and see what we have to offer there. And I really enjoy the live market events that I'm staffing, generally on my own. And where I'm mostly regional, though I've been to a few places outside my region. I love meeting customers face to face. It's great for discovering what they care about, answering their questions. I take a lot of pleasure in seeing them try out our products for the first time and realize how very, very nice they are. And I will say, on average, I pick up 1 to 2 retailers for every one of those events that I attend and sell at, because they're there just on for personal enjoyment, but they see my products, they ask for a line sheet, which I happen to have with me, and my business card, and that often leads to very good relationships. People I've met in all kinds of interesting corners of West Virginia and the greater region.
I mean, it's so interesting how e-commerce has evolved. Are you finding, I mean, just a few years back, I think, B2C was all the rage, right? If people were starting their own little brands and they were marketing directly to consumers, and it was easy because, Facebook marketing and Instagram marketing and all these platforms, it was cheap and easy to market, and you can, drive customers, acquire customers at a lower cost. But now, of course, all that has become so much more expensive.
That's right.
Do you kind of advise now, like if someone is looking to start an e-commerce business, to rather go the B2B route, wholesale kind of route, and do more of a sales effort rather than going B2C and online marketing? Do you think that's the more what could be the challenge in doing that?
I like B2B because it pushed us to really up our game with our packaging, our presentation, our marketing materials, our ability to talk about our products with a variety of potential customers. And it got our products literally into stores coast to coast. I mean, okay, I don't mean to make it sound like we're like the next huge thing right after Sephora. We're not, but it exposed a lot of people to a lot of customers to our brand, and some of them have then come and shopped with us on our own website. So I'm happy about that. The online platforms make that pretty easy to do. The cost is more along the lines of sort of classic a distributor or a marketer taking their cut, so that Faire takes X% of the transactions, because they not only connect us with retailers who want to find new and interesting independent brands. They take a cut. Faire does. They actually handle basically handle the transaction. Same with Bulletin. They take their cut. So does Pod. Range Me just takes it's an annual subscription. So there we're on our own to work that, and the money stays in our pocket. To me, that's fair, because I have a very lean team, and these platforms amplify our message and our reach. So I have no complaints about that. I also have no complaints about starting with B2C and emphasizing, as I have, looking for opportunities to sell face to face, because I think especially for a health and wellness beauty brand like ours, talking to those consumers and engaging with them directly is very important.
For sure. Yeah, and I think, even with B2C, I think it may be easier to start with a marketplace rather than trying to go find your own customers. Maybe, I think you can't run away from costs, whether it's a marketplace like
Yes.
Amazon or a B2B marketplace like Fair. There's always going to be their cost. Do you find that once you've built a relationship with a retailer through, let's say, Fair,
Mhm.
do they prefer to continue working with you through that platform, or can you go outside of the platform and just start doing independent business with them?
They can work directly with us if that's their preference, but I'm all right with it staying on Fair because there's certain guardrails and sort of measures that are built into that I think are reassuring to the retailer. And I'm okay with it. There are certain things. I mean, we're a small company. We really emphasize making our customers happy. And there's some clunky things sometimes with an online platform that get in the way of doing that, but that's a minor issue. I'm happy with whatever the retailer wants to do because I mean, I'm complaining about marketing cost and social media and so on. I mean, and I'm sure and you've had other guests who speak to all the things that have happened to the retail sector over these past few years. So I appreciate what the retailers are going through. I appreciate the chance that they're taking on us with us being a new brand. So whatever they
Yeah,
want to do, I'll do.
for sure. A little bit about your manufacturing. Is
Sure.
it in-house? I mean, you did mention that you have a chemist. Do you have a facility, or you kind of
Mhm.
outsource it to some sort of a manufacturer?
100% in-house.
And that has
And
benefit for you?
huge benefit because it's all under the watchful eye of my chemist. And bless her. She is the one who sits through the 3-hour FDA update webinars, right? She makes sure that we're GMP compliant, all the things that we're accountable for. She ensures that all of that goes really well, so we don't have the issues of working with third parties. I mean, beyond simply sourcing our ingredients and inputs that other than the lavender which we have gotten from the farm. So I'm very happy to have it there. I'm happy and amazed that in a really good way, she's trained people, again, sometimes with minimal education, to be running distillation units and running filling machines, and even doing some under her guidance, have learned how to do formulation. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for people to build skills and for us to have a small core workforce there in our corner of West Virginia who can do all of this so that we're manufacturing and filling, labeling, packing, shipping from a 24,000-foot facility that we rent in Foster, West Virginia.
Wow, very nice. So you mentioned FDA and some of these other agencies.
Mhm.
So your products, you have to get some, approvals from, because these are, I mean, they're not consumables, right? Like they're just being used exterior.
That they are all you're right, they're all for external use only. However, because they can potentially affect change on the skin, they're classed as cosmetics.
Okay.
So what we are very careful to do, and again, kudos every day to my chemist who keeps us on the right side of the FDA. We are super careful about not making therapeutic or medical or other sorts of inappropriate claims for our products, so as to be able to avoid the time, the paperwork, and the expense of filing for FDA review.
Hmm.
We're very careful about what we put on our labels and in our marketing material to say about our products.
What have you learned about your target market now?
Our target market is for aromatherapy and body care products, predominantly female. I'd say age 30 to 55 plus, is increasingly aware of, concerned about the products that they use on their body. Likewise, the food that they and their families consume. So I think they're much more careful and conscious readers of labels. Okay. Our consumer tends to like the outdoors. Maybe that could be gardening or walking or hiking, or likes travel. So there's some disposable income there, often a little bit of extra, there's some education beyond college and beyond. So we have an educated consumer. At the same time, they're I think more, and this is more anecdotal. I've not studied this, Sushant, and now I'm realizing on your podcast I need to go and look this up. Okay. I think more people are recognizing that they have issues with their skin, with sensitivity with their skin, in particular, that they have to be more careful than they ever realized before. And so even people who wouldn't consider themselves part of that conscious consumer class that I was just describing value our products, and they'll pay for them because they find that our products don't cause them the issues that other commercially available products do.
I mean, it's interesting because you did mention that this category is a saturated category, right?
I
So
know.
how do you,
Yes.
like, how does, when a customer goes to a retailer and they're looking for this kind of an item, I mean, what is it that, how do they choose your product versus like a competitor, like two other competitor products? Like, what is the, and, once they have used it, like, what is it that makes them come back for more?
Okay, well, we'll start with the easy part. These are truly fantastic, exceptional products.
Okay.
Okay, let's just put that out there. Okay. Another part of what excited me about promoting our brand was telling the story of growing lavender on the reclaimed mine land, hiring people who needed second chance jobs, doing all of this in West Virginia. So a totally made in the USA product, right? And a story of endeavor and fortitude and creativity and ingenuity. And that's great. That gets you like 10% of the way in the door. So what we found was we needed to adjust our pricing. We came in high because we were basing it more on the premium quality of the product and less on the fact that we were a newcomer into a crowded market and needed to price competitively. So that's an important lesson that we learned, and we've gotten good results after making some changes with our wholesale and our retail pricing. We could charge more, but we don't. We want to get in there, get recognized, have people try us, like us, and come back and buy more. And they definitely do. We definitely have a lot of customers who are repurchasing, and that's absolutely fantastic.
So your marketing is directed primarily at the wholesaler, at the business. How do they kind of position it to their customers once your product is on the shelf? Or do you kind of give them some marketing materials and things like that,
We
promotions to help it sell?
we'll offer the retailer promotions to make it easier for them to introduce it into onto their shelves. We also will provide point of sale collateral. We've got a really nice display unit for our 3 beard oils and our dome oil, which is the oil for the bald scalp. So we've invested a lot in our packaging. I have a fantastic in-house part-time design director he built the logo and has been building the brand with me since late 2018 and has done all the packaging and labeling design. And that matters a lot to a lot of our retailers will come back specifically and say, I like products that are use botanical ingredients, minimize, don't use chemicals, minimize synthetics, etc. But often I find that it's sort of the products have the packaging has a mom and pop feel to it. Somebody made it in their kitchen.
Hmm.
They say to us, we really appreciate how professional and modern and fresh your packaging and presentation is. So, I'm glad that we took the time and spent the money in order to do that, because while I'm super proud that we've gotten our start in West Virginia and have a lot of people there who love us,
Hmm.
I also love the fact that we're shipping to California and New York and elsewhere around the country. So I wanted a brand that would look great sitting next to another national brand.
Yeah, I mean, your presentation definitely is really nice, and just by looking at it gives the sense of being organic, environmentally friendly. So
Right.
your director is definitely doing a great job.
Well, thank you. I will tell him that.
Yeah. Uh, so I completely skipped the question I was going to ask you. So let's go there. How, you're fulfill you said you have one location, one warehouse,
Mhm.
and you are doing everything, fulfillment, manufacturing, everything from there. Can you talk a little bit about your team and like what does it take to really run the whole operation?
Well, it takes a brilliant person who doesn't sleep a lot, and that's my chemist.
Okay.
That's a, and we have some people who've worked for us on the fulfillment side, on the operations side now for a number of years. It takes a core group who are now trained in the basics of manufacturing and fulfillment. On my side of the equation, I have, as I mentioned, a wonderful part-time design director. I have an e-commerce manager, and I'm basically the face of the sales and the marketing. We are working with an outside consultant who, for a reasonable monthly fee, is working our Range Me
Hmm.
applications and interacting with some large grocery chains and some other large multi-store retailers, working on getting our products introduced there. So that's pretty much the team.
I mean, I have to say, like, given that you started your career as an English major, I believe you said library or something.
That's
Um,
right.
how do you, how are you finding, and it seems like you've been able to scale your business really well. What has the entrepreneurial journey been like for you? Becoming a manager, becoming someone who has the vision and be able to scale a business and make it profitable. How long have you been doing it, and what has been the growth
Well,
journey for you?
it has been it's been exciting and wonderful and frightening and stressful. The usual entrepreneurial journey, right? Well, for many people, I'd say. Um, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've had to change some things about myself. I realized that when I was confronting difficult, challenging situations, my go-to solutions from my prior life didn't work so well. So that's been a sort of internal learning process for myself. I've learned to appreciate really smart people and be comfortable with not being the smartest person in the room, on just about any number of matters related to the running of this business. It's that then, and maybe that's part of the challenge of working with people who come in and sound very slick and professional and say, "Oh, we can do this, and this for you, and it only costs this ginormous amount of money."
Hmm.
Um, I gravitate toward people who come across as smart and capable and experienced. And then what I've learned, Sushan, is you've got to probe that and find out, is that really true? Or is that the facade that they present? So
Hmm.
that's a little bit of lesson learned / advice for people out there. If there's part of the business you don't know, you have to find somebody to fill that gap. And so sometimes it's a challenge to find the person with the right skill set who is also reliable and trustworthy.
Yeah, I think that's a key entrepreneurial skill, is to
Mhm.
recognize that you don't, I mean, entrepreneurs have a vision and they basically bring a group of people together with the skills to bring
Right.
that vision to life. And I think that's a key entrepreneurial skill. And anybody who's starting on the entrepreneurial journey, I think they have to, at a certain point, if they don't already are the entrepreneur mindset, have to recognize this. Otherwise, they'll just be working themselves to uh,
Yes.
all the time and not be able to scale very well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I'm very curious about. I mean, you definitely your product range. One is more around aromatherapy and body care, and then you went into men's grooming. Like, what was your process of recognizing where the demand is? Like, what kind of motivated you or um, influence you to go into like a men's grooming, beard care kind of a product? Like, did you test it out and realize that maybe there's a market there? And like, what was that process like?
Have I mentioned I have an amazing chemist uh, who, it so happened, had a men's grooming products company before she came on board with us.
Okay.
And what she said is she had a number of formulas, proprietary formulas that she had developed that she knew she could very readily adapt them into new formulas, which we could then make and sell under the Appalachian Botanical brand. So it was piggybacking off of her expertise and her experience. So that's an important factor, being able to make something really, really good in-house, really high quality. The second factor is what you and I have both mentioned now, which is how saturated the market is with lavender products specifically, and more generally, the beauty and skincare and so on. The men with beards, that's a less well-served market. There's an opportunity there.
Hmm.
And the opportunity was not simply to have products, because certainly there are companies like Old Spice and some others that are quite well known. There are new companies like Manscaped and others who are serving that demographic. But we saw an opportunity. We saw more of a niche there, Sushant, to be able to bring our philosophy and our approach to really high quality products, botanical forward, no synthetic fragrance, virtually no chemicals, etc. So we could do a moderately priced but very high quality product and be competitive in the space. So
By the way,
that's how it evolved.
I mean, what is the future vision for your business? What are you working on now? Like, are you focusing mostly really on customer acquisition, getting your product set in front of as many people as possible? Or are you also, uh, you know, developing new products? I mean, you definitely have a good product range, but are you developing new products as well?
Well, apparently when you have products, it's a little bit like the shark. You can't stop swimming. So we have several products, a blood orange body care line coming out later this summer. So a body butter, scrub, a body wash shampoo combination, and a facial cleanser. So that takes us into another area of personal body care that we're excited to be in. And the blood orange is really fabulous. So I will tease that. We need to really, really exploit these e-commerce B2B platforms as fully as we can.
Hmm.
Because as you can imagine, it's one thing to get yourself accepted onto them and listed, and then it's another thing to take full advantage of, say, their promotional opportunities or making connections directly with the customers that they serve. So we need to put some energy into that. We have been, and we need to increase that. In another direction, I participated in a U.S. commercial service trade mission to Panama and Costa Rica in the spring, and had some excellent B2B meetings that were set up for me in advance by the commercial service staff at the embassy in Costa Rica. And so I'm in the midst of figuring out literally what it takes in order to put all the pieces together to export some of our products to those countries. And that involves, as you can imagine, product registration and figuring out logistics and doing some things that are new to us, but we're working on figuring it out. Again, I think it's a function of the saturated market for our products in the United States, that while we continue to make strides and gain traction, there's actually more opportunity with the right partner in those countries to be able to achieve more of the higher volumes that we would like to achieve.
Very interesting. So those are the first countries outside of US that you're kind of venturing into.
Through FAIR, we have shipped a couple of small orders to Canada. And so after Panama and Costa Rica, Canada and Mexico both literally and figuratively loom large in our plans. You may have heard the expression, never try to eat anything larger than your head. I'm trying to do that with exports, starting with countries where it's manageable, just in terms of the scale of it, the proximity, free trade zone, very helpful, and also and countries where retailers and distributors are accustomed to importing American goods. So they have a very long history of working very well with American manufacturers of consumer packaged goods. So I feel like, thanks to the help I've gotten at the state level in West Virginia and from the federal folks with the commercial service, I've been able to put my best foot forward on it. And, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic that it's going to bear some good fruit between now and the end of this year.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I guess, the other markets would, for these kind of products at least, would be other Western English speaking, or I would say Western, maybe in Europe or Australia would be other markets probably.
I had a study performed that looked at the countries around the world using weighted variables that I provided, and the number one country out of the 177 or so that they looked at was Canada. Language, ease of doing business, the tariff situation, et cetera. And also highly ranked were Western European countries. At the same time, it's funny, I still need to work on how I set up my variables. That would be an incredibly difficult market to break into for some of the same reasons that it's been hard for us to gain traction as fast as we wanted to in the US market. And that is saturation from with other companies, other competitors, and also very, very highly regulated industry.
For sure.
So I'm actually going a little farther down the list, going, okay, where is it? The market's not nearly as large, of course, but the opportunity to do deals and be able to have this commerce in a way that's affordable and manageable for us, I say, I'll see you in San Jose and Panama City.
For sure. By the way, we are a little bit over time. Are you still okay for a few minutes to go? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. In every entrepreneur's journey, there's always mistakes made, lessons learned, failures. What has been, a big mistake or failure in your own journey that I know you mentioned like one big thing around recognizing, people and genuine talent and people who are selling you stuff. But what has been like a big mistake maybe that you made where you, maybe lost money, or what was the lesson for you, and what can other entrepreneurs learn?
I would say we did not spend our money well on some of the people we first worked with on the sales and marketing side. So that was an expensive lesson to learn. I think I underestimated what it takes to get a product from our building in what Foster, West Virginia, onto a shelf in a store. I did not fully appreciate the challenges and sometimes complexity, but the challenges, especially in COVID times, of our products making that journey.
Hmm.
So maybe it's good that I didn't. It might have, who knows, it might have scared us off. Retail is tough. And I think B2C was easier years ago. And now it's tough because it's a more crowded marketplace and it's prohibitively expensive for a small company to try to launch a wellness brand. So
Hmm.
I was not fully aware of the deep pockets that can be needed for that. Those are the main, I'd say those.
So the challenge that you're saying is more on the logistics side. Like, I mean, if you're shipping within the
No,
US,
no. I mean, no. Again, I'm almost embarrassed to say how long it took me to realize that what we needed was a relationship with a distributor
okay.
who could take us on and include us on their roster of product lines that they were serving their retail customers with. I did not know the catch-22 of we approach a distributor and they say, bring us 3 customers
Hmm.
who will buy that product from us, and then we'll talk to you,
Hmm.
maybe.
Hmm.
Okay. And then the other part of the catch-22 is talking to a retail chain who says, we need you to be in with a major national distributor, because that's
Hmm.
how we want to work.
Hmm.
But we want you to have that relationship in place before we send you a purchase order.
Hmm. And
So it's
what is the key to kind of getting into the door there with that catch 22?
like time, persistence, alcohol. Actually, my salesperson has a lot of experience in retail grocery, and that's been helpful to us. Honestly, platforms like RangeMe, which I think specializes in catering to the larger chains looking for brands, it makes it easier to put ourselves in front of those people. It has been challenging, though, to get to the interview stage, to getting the purchase order. I'll just pause one moment for like a minor vent. We were talking to a very, very large company, and they were talking in a way that led me to believe we would be getting an order from them.
Hmm.
And they ghosted us. I don't know why. I don't know, was it because the minimum number of cases I said they would need to order, whether our wholesale pricing was off. They just ceased communication, Sushant. At the time, it was really shocking. It's happened a couple of times with other much smaller potential customers where I'm less surprised that it happened. It's like, it's a weird world out there.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think that, a key to this, of course, there could be very different, a lot of approaches, there could just really be sweat equity approach where, you're really just putting in a lot of effort to try to build those relationships. But do you think the key is to find the right person who can make the right connections, who can make the introduction with the right buyer?
Yes,
That,
yes.
yeah, I think, if you have the right relationships who can make the right introduction, I think that sometimes can be a catalyst to opening some of those
You
doors.
are absolutely right. I get, it can be just frustrating and wearing when approaching especially larger retailers, only to be told, go fill out this form on our website. If we are interested in you, we will contact you. Don't contact us.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't, and everyone is too busy. And I recognize that they are very busy. People are stretched thin. But what that also means, if you don't hear anything from them, you don't know why. You don't know how to improve. You don't know what to adjust. It's just this giant wall of silence between the large customers and a small, worthy company such as ours that wants that chance. So go back to your point, I very much value the opportunity in my networking, and I network as as much as I can, to say to somebody, if you can make a warm introduction for me to someone at the C level or just below in this company, I would just like to know that our information is getting to a human being.
Yeah.
So you are absolutely right. Find that right person, make that right connection, and that's just so valuable.
Awesome. Now we're going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions. You have to answer them maybe in a sentence or so, or a word, a couple of words.
Sure.
So a book recommendation for entrepreneurs and why?
Guy Kawasaki's The Art of the Start,
Okay.
because I know it's almost a cliche, but it's really great read, and it reminds people that you want to do something that's meaningful and valuable to you and for the people that you're working with. So love
Yeah,
it.
Guy Kawasaki is a great personal brand builder, I think.
Oh, seriously.
I've met him in person
Oh,
at one of his book readings. I think he does a lot of public appearances and so forth.
well,
And
I would too if I was him.
yeah, he has perfected his story. I think
He
his
really
story of
has.
working at Apple and so forth.
That's right.
An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about.
I'm liking the look of a new platform called Tailory. They offer for a nominal monthly fee what amounts to focus groups and marketing for a company like mine that doesn't have the bandwidth to send out samples and follow up with focused strategic questions about those products. So I think that's really clever. It doesn't cost what others. I get lots and lots of cold inquiries about stuff that I don't think I can afford or really need, but I just like the look of that model. Okay. Sorry, that was way more than 2 sentences,
No,
but
no, that's totally fine.
please continue.
A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Password manager. Just
Okay.
sorry.
Which one do you use, LastPass or?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I
Okay.
do.
Sometimes even those password managers tend to get hacked. So they're not
Well,
completely foolproof.
oh, so you would like me to get started on two-factor authentication? Okay, no, we don't have time. It's like
Yeah, I
we're
mean, it's
we're all doomed. Okay,
yeah,
we're just
yeah.
doomed.
And with the AI, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
AI will be breaking stuff. So,
That's
a,
right.
a startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is currently doing great things.
I think Tailory, they're working with like 1,200 brands, so they've really established themselves well. I'm impressed.
Okay. Uh, Another peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you.
I had the good fortune to meet and talk several times with Brad Smith of Intuit. Well, now he's president at Marshall University, and
Okay.
he was very kind and generous with his time and just had good advice for, what can be sometimes a lonely entrepreneurial journey.
I mean, talking about lonely, and you did mention networking. Do you have any? How do you kind of build? I mean, first of all, how do you get time to network? And what is your do you have any tip for networking, business networking, and really, building a relationship?
I try to take advantage of opportunities presented by the organizations that are helping me as an entrepreneur or small business. For example, the SBA in West Virginia, or I mentioned the U.S. Commercial Service, because not only can I get the help from them, but that I meet other entrepreneurs and small business owners, and that's extremely valuable. The other thing I like to do, it's like, just call me Guy Kawasaki Jr., is if an organization invites me to come and tell the story and show slides, I'll do it. And it's partly because some sales or some relationships will come out of it. And it's just partly to be in a room with people after nearly 3 years of not being in rooms with people, it's
Yeah,
still feeling really good to be able to go and do that.
for
So if
sure.
anybody out there listening feels nervous or self-conscious about speaking, I recommend figuring out a way to get over it, because many organizations are looking for fresh content and new speakers and interesting ideas.
For sure.
Mm.
Final question. What is the best business advice that you have ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
I think the best advice I read in a book on consulting by Peter Block. He said the two great negative motivators for people were fear of being embarrassed and fear of losing control.
Hmm.
And that matters when you're a consultant working with a client who at the end of the day doesn't really remember what you did for them, but they remember how they felt working with you.
Yeah.
So I think I go into relationships and opportunities attuned to what my own fears around that are, as well as what the concerns of the other parties are. So just being aware that sometimes the way people are reacting to you, it's not so much you, it's something going on with them and their concerns and issues, and being able to meet them part way and be aware of that is really great. And I do want to throw in one quick shout out to a woman named Hildy Gottlieb, who has been a real advocate and champion of the concept of catalytic thinking,
Hmm.
because in that thinking, instead of asking a lot of, well, who and why and how much and who's going to do that, instead, when you're presented with an opportunity, an idea, you say, okay, what difference will that make and for whom?
Hmm.
And then what's the highest possible benefit that could be achieved by doing this and for whom? It's a very generative, open, and kind of very positive way to
Hmm.
approach opportunity and engage in some very honest and open conversation. So Hildy's work has been very influential with me.
I mean, that's a great. I think that's probably the fundamental driver or fundamental that should be the fundamental driver for any business, is to say how what am I doing that's adding value to people out there. And I think that's, the more value someone adds through their, whether it's a product or a service, I think the easier it is for that business to get traction. And I think
Right.
many times people start with the idea of how can I make money, and
Mm.
maybe they kind of lose focus on, on the value aspect of that. And I think what you mentioned is definitely to help you think about, how am I adding value to the world around me. And I think that's a great way to start for any business.
It's wonderful, and it's helped attract some really great people to work with me on the journey, and I feel very lucky and blessed every day for that.
For sure. I mean, I think most people want to work for a great mission. So I think if that you can inspire that and people, I think that's definitely a great way to attract. Well, with that, Jocelyn, thank you so much. Those were all the questions that I had. Thank you for sharing your story, very interesting story about your business, some of the lessons learned. If anybody wants to get, buy your product or get in touch, what is the best way to do that?
Well, buying the product is at appalachianbotanical.com, and they can contact me at support@appalachianbotanical.com, and I'll be I welcome the conversation. I welcome the email inquiry.
Well, Jocelyn, thank you so much again. Really appreciate your story and your, all your advice as well. So thank you so much again, and wish you all the very best.
Well, I thank you very much. I appreciated you having me today.